everybody, and welcome back to the 4-Star Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jordan DuPont, joined by Nick DeCola and Andrew Freeman. Tyke had to take the week off. He was with me this past week. He is in an undisclosed location doing some undisclosed Army things, so he will not be able to be with us. That sounds way more mysterious than it actually is. I just don't know if I'm allowed to air his dirty laundry on the internet. But
if you did, we'd just like immediately get nuked. The podcast would get canceled. The NSA just is on top of it. So
we'd all get swatted.
We'd all just get swatted. You know,
Yep.
They come through that window and just absolutely end me.
So with all of that being said, it's actually been a pretty busy week for our sports teams here. The Blackhawks had 2 games, the Bulls had 4, and obviously the Bears played, which is unfortunate.
Hawks are playing right now as we record. Puck just
dropped. Yeah. Where do we want to start?
Let's start with the Bears. Let's get it over with.
All right. So unfortunately, unfortunately, I have been working so much. I was unable to watch this game. But it was against the Chargers, and I know we had been like, oh, well, they have a bad defense. Maybe there's hope. And then our beloved Chicago Bears reminded us that there truly is no hope by losing 30-13 in Los Angeles to Justin Herbert. And like I said, I wasn't really able to watch the game. All I know is it was not good. So I'll let you guys jump in.
I mean, this is just what happens when Matt Eberflus's stupid dinosaur defense faces an actual good quarterback. You know, Justin Herbert's a very good quarterback. I know he hasn't had the best year. I know this hasn't been the best year for the Chargers. They've been really up and down, but like he's still Justin Herbert. He's still very good. If you look at this has been talked about this week, but Matt Eberflus has won 5 games in a year and a half as head coach, which is terrible. But if you look at the 5 games he's won, who are the quarterbacks that he's beaten? He's beaten Davis Mills, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, who got benched for Bailey Zappi, Brian Hoyer, and
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. Mac Jones is the best quarterback that he's beaten.
What are you talking about? That is an all-star cast right there.
So, like, this defense is fine if your quarterback or your opposing quarterback is just constantly making mistakes. But Justin Herbert's not going to make those mistakes. So, I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
I mean, this is what happens when your defensive scheme is, dated back to the Lovie Smith era. Like, the scheme would have been fine if it was back in 2005 when there weren't nearly as many quality quarterbacks as there is in today's game, and the offensive schemes that we have today were not as advanced as they were back then. Like, everyone has seen Tampa 2 at this point. They know how to beat this defense. Like, quarterbacks are fine just taking the checkdowns now and just playing a safe game and just having 12, 15 play drives and not making mistakes. It's not like it was 10, 15 years ago where you could get away with this style of defense, especially when you don't have a pass rush. And that was the biggest thing that really stood out in this game was that they just got no pressure on Justin Herbert whatsoever. And it's not like the Chargers have, a bunch of world beaters in the offensive line. They're not a bad offensive line, but it's like Rashawn Slater and, Corey Linsley was out in this game. So outside of Rashawn Slater, it's not like this impenetrable wall that you're going up against. But this pass rush just cannot generate pressure unless Matt Eberflus dials up a blitz. And the thing with Eberflus is because of his philosophy, very rarely does he dial up any sort of complex pressure scheme to get after the quarterback. So you're stuck in this constant battle of, well, we want to be able to keep the play in front of us, and hopefully we can get some pressure on the quarterback and make mistakes. But when you can't get pressure on the quarterback, they're not going to make mistakes. And Herbert is not a guy who's going to make many mistakes.
A couple of things. You said a couple of things that I want to go off of. First, you mentioned something along the lines of they're happy to just take checkdowns. That's what Herbert was doing all game. He completed his first what was it, like 14 passes?
15 passes, yeah.
15 passes or something like that. He was happy to just take it, check it down, get yards after the catch, dump it off to Eckler, and have him go. And part of that reason that plan was so successful was because this team could not tackle for shit yesterday. Like, honestly, like, yeah, you want to keep the play in front of you, but the only way that's even going to kind of work to do this bend, don't break sort of thing is if you actually make your freaking tackles. And this team cannot tackle. This team cannot play defense. Your defensive-minded head coach cannot get a team to play defense at the NFL. God, I want him. I want him gone. I want him fired into the sun yesterday.
Do you want me to make you more upset?
No, but yes, go ahead.
Velus Jones Jr., baby.
Oh my God.
What a wide receiver. I saw somebody put on Twitter, it was like,
you at least saw that
highlight,
clip, right?
Of course. Who
Okay,
hasn't
good.
seen that clip?
I
saw somebody on Twitter put a highlight reel, quote unquote highlight reel of his together, and it's literally just him dropping the ball, muffing punts, and fumbling after the catch. Like, he has contributed nothing positive to this team.
The man was wide open in the end zone. He fell on his back. The ball still hit him square in the chest. And he couldn't bring it in. I was driving home from work today. On the way to my apartment, I turned down like a residential area, and I saw some kids like playing football in the front yard of the side. And kid threw a deep ball for a kid, right? And the other kid, he like fell down in the same way that like Velus did. And the ball came down. But guess what? This kid made the catch. Velus Jones, a professional athlete, did not. What I'm saying is, Getsy, Poles, go find this kid and replace him with Velus Jones, because this kid can't be much worse than him.
I think, don't quote me on this, but I think I saw a stat out there, or basically just going through the roughly here, but roughly when looking at all of Velus Jones' touches between offense and special teams, he has either fumbled, dropped a pass, or muffed a kick or punt on about 20% of the plays that he's involved in.
Oh God!
So
Honestly,
don't quote me on that.
I thought that
off
number.
Off the top of my head, off my just first initial.
I don't believe
calculation.
it. I don't believe it only because that number sounds low to me.
But for those who are listening, yes, that is a very high number, and the fact that we're not surprised by that is pretty telling of the way his career's gone in Chicago.
He was the lowest graded offensive player per PFF, if you care about that at all, and he was graded like a 26 out of 100. Ain't great.
Nope. And I mean, look, this was all pretty predictable at the time when he was drafted. Like, he was clearly a day 3 prospect that they drafted way too high just based off of size, weight, and speed. And when you're just drafting players off of athletic ability instead of whether they're actually good football players or not, this is what's going to happen, right? And I don't want to like continue to just bury the guy, because from everything that I hear about the guy is that he's a good dude. He works very hard. But you know what? You're a professional athlete, and it's not his fault that he was drafted higher than he should have. Like, if he was a day 3 pick, no one would care about Velus Jones' struggles.
Well, if
he probably wouldn't be on the team right now. He probably
that's what I'm saying
at this point, right?
Yeah.
But because they invested so much in him as a third round pick, like, they're going to try to make it work, and it's not working. It's not working on special teams, where he was drafted to be. He was drafted to be this elite special teams return specialist, and he's just not. And clearly, he just cannot find a role on offense. And I don't know. I'm ready for the experiment to be done. I think everyone in Chicago is ready for the experiment to be done. And that goes to show, Bears fans, maybe we shouldn't be comparing these guys to Deebo Samuels when they're drafted right away, because that's what a lot of Bears fans did. And boy, you guys look foolish now.
Putting entire Bears Twitter on blast. Here we go.
I have no problem doing so. I have a lot of fun with that.
Speaking of something that's going to rile up Bears Twitter, do we want to get into the quarterback discussion?
Let's get into it.
That's going to be the big other takeaway.
I mean, it
this.
shouldn't be a discussion. That's the take. It should not be a discussion. Tyson Bagent just showed you exactly what he is, a solid career backup quarterback.
Yeah.
The ceiling, the absolute ceiling is career backup quarterback. There is no quarterback controversy in Chicago. The only quarterback controversy in Chicago is who we're taking in the first round of next year's draft to replace Justin Fields.
Yeah.
That is there's no discussion. That is what is going to happen. I mean, if you guys want to dig into it more, feel free, but I feel like we've talked about it a lot. There's no other take. There's just no other take.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, we have to make this podcast an hour, so we got to talk about something, right? No, but you're exactly right. Look, I like Tyson Bagent. I thought, please don't take that as me saying I don't like Tyson Bagent because the story is incredible. The dude's work ethic is incredible. He's intelligent. He's a leader. He doesn't have the athletic ability to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. No, he played really great last week against the Raiders. Bad defense, but whatever. I thought he did what he was asked of him. I thought he played pretty well. I didn't think he had some bad throws this past week. I didn't think he was like exposed or anything or terrible, but he still showed you that he has like a ceiling here. And that ceiling, like Jordan said, is a very good career backup. And like, hey, there's value in that. All right. It's good
not
to
an
have
insult.
It's not an insult. It's a lot better than I could do. It's a great gig. You get to be on a football team. Blue Mountain State. The dude was the third string quarterback, and he was like, "This is the dream, right?" He's on the team and doesn't have to do work. But no, it's a great story. Tyson Bagent from the Shepherd University. I don't know if you saw that in the pregame intros. He called it the Shepherd University, which I thought was really funny. Dad is a champion arm wrestler. It's been beaten to death, but no, he's for an undrafted rookie who you can immediately plug in as a like long-term plan at backup quarterback. Like that's a great find. There's value in that. We should be very happy with that. But if Fields is healthy, Fields should be the starter rest of the season. If for nothing else, to show what you have in Fields and to leave no doubt that you should take a quarterback with presumably the number one pick if Carolina gets back to their losing ways. But Andrew, you have anything else to add on the quarterback discussion?
Hopefully Tyson Bagent doesn't use Oreos the way they do in Blue Mountain State. Otherwise, you might have another problem there. For those who know,
why you gotta go there, man.
For those who know,
it's a family show.
Leave it at that. God. Yeah, I mean,
flashbacks.
Look, I mean, Bagent does a lot of. So here's the thing, and this is the annoying part about it. Nick, we were kind of talking about this in the group chat and kind of before we recorded about like the whole Chris Collinsworth just going.
Oh yeah,
absurdly.
It was so weird.
Yeah,
it's not like he was lighting it up. Like he was playing like decent backup quarterback, what you would expect. And Chris Collinsworth is like singing this kid's praise. That was so strange.
Yeah, they're literally down by 3 touchdowns, and Chris Collins was like, "Well, Justin Fields should be taking notes about how Tyson Bagent plays the game." Like, did Getsy write you the script about what you should say, and you're just going?
Well,
with it?
I mean, I know,
according to Dan Bernstein and Lawrence Holmes, yes, but
that's Dan. Yeah, that's Dan Bernstein. Whatever. But I mean, I don't think Collinsworth was even wrong when he said Justin Fields, because we've talked about this. Like Tyson Bagent is good at the things that Justin Fields is bad at. Justin Fields is good at the things Tyson Bagent. Justin Fields can do things at quarterback that Tyson Bagent could only dream of doing. But Tyson Bagent is good at the actual fundamentals that Justin Fields is struggling with, which is why, in this conversation, watching Bagent play and just come in and operate the offense in a way that Fields is struggling to, like, it reflects worse on Fields. But at the same time, it was like he was hyping him up way too much. Like for a quarterback who led one scoring drive up to that point, like I don't know.
Yeah, no, that part was ridiculous. That was pretty annoying, to say the least. I mean, but look, I mean, there is a point to it, like you mentioned. Like, does Tyson Bagent do a lot of things? Like, they're complete opposite of quarterbacks, right? Tyson Bagent's going to get the ball out on time. He gets the ball out quickly, quick release. Doesn't take a lot of sacks. Like, in fact, like you look at Bagent's.
He took one sack yesterday.
Took one sack, and that was a play where Cody Whitehair just got completely bulldozed by Joey Bosa, like there was nothing Bagent was going to be able to do.
Yeah,
on
that
play.
was ugly.
It was rough. It was a rough. Cody Whitehair once again. He had a good game against the Raiders, but he was bad once again. And it's just the way that things, just the way it goes for him at this stage in his career. But you look at Bagent, his sack rate this season is 3.6%, which is pretty dang low. Compare that to Justin Fields, who's at nearly 13% and about 12% for his career. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see like what the issue is with that. Like, clearly Justin Fields just has an issue with holding onto the ball too long, not seeing the field, and taking too many sacks. But
can
also,
we get them to do like the fusion dance from Dragon
I
Ball Z?
wish, right?
And just have them be like
I
the
was gonna
perfect quarterback.
say, like Bagent, like he
He's-
avoids those negative plays like that, but he clearly doesn't have the arm talent that Justin Fields has. Like, you can tell when they were running those out routes late in the game, Bagent just doesn't have the arm strength to get the ball out there, and the Chargers were just sitting on those routes, and they were getting near interceptions or interceptions on a couple of them every single time they tried that. And even on some of the deep passes down the field, like the Velus Jones drop, we talk about that. Like on that throw, and people aren't mentioning it as much, it was very underthrown. Like, you're not doing your wide receiver any favors there, throwing it.
Still should have caught it.
You should have caught it.
Still should have caught it, but yes,
like,
very underthrown.
You're making it.
Oh, also the refs
good.
robbed him of a long touchdown completion to Moody because Moody was never touched down and it
Yeah,
moved dead
but
for
also
no reason.
Mooney did a terrible job of selling it. I don't think he makes it to the end zone because he just got up and started jogging. And they didn't blow the whistle at that point. They didn't call the play.
But he still was just never touched. I'm still mad. It's
yeah,
okay.
but Derwin James caught up to him. He wasn't going to score a touchdown.
Andrew,
well,
I'm trying to have fun here. Why do you have to be a negative Nancy?
We're talking about the Bears here. What do you mean being a negative Nancy?
That's fair.
Do we want a little positivity? Do we want a glimmer of positivity?
Is it their draft positioning?
No.
Okay, wait, hang on. Before we do that, can we talk about DJ Moore only getting one target in the second half when they needed to score like 3 touchdowns to get back in the game?
Well, that's nothing.
Oh, again?
Yeah, you only got one. I don't know. You went and traded the number 1 overall pick for this guy. Throw him the ball. Get him the rock.
Nah,
kicking and screaming to get the ball to the Italians. Like, Ditka's just like, get the ball to the Italians. All right. Get the ball to DJ Moore. This ain't hard.
What is going on with these references today, gentlemen? This is impressive.
I think they're pretty elite.
Jordan,
so
like I said,
those were elite.
We gotta fill in an hour. All right. I'm trying.
No, it's ridiculous. The fact that we consistently Getsy just is not able to game plan and utilize the strengths of this roster, the few strengths that this roster does have. You would think DJ Moore would be at the top of this list, but instead we're calling screens to Cole Kmet and doing dumb.
I think
dumb stuff.
we could probably leave it at this. I'm just gonna say that, like, argue about Fields all you want, argue about Bagent all you want, argue about Caleb Williams, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. I don't know, whoever you want to argue about. It does not matter who is playing quarterback for this organization if this coaching staff does not get fired into the freaking sun by season's end.
Yep.
That's where I'm leaving it.
So two things I want to add. The first one is a little bit of positivity. The second one's just some funny thing I saw on Twitter. But positivity is Darnell Wright had another great game. 2 pressures allowed. That was it.
He's a dude.
He is a dude. He has developed very quickly into a very, very solid offensive lineman. Piggybacking off of that, the funny thing, do you guys, I don't know if you saw this, but do you know that meme where it's got like the 2 dragon heads that are like super intimidating?
And then the
one that's just like the
doofus one.
Yeah. So I saw that meme, but the 2 intimidating heads were Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright, and then the doofus looking head was the rest of the Bears offensive line.
Speaking of social media posts, did you guys see the Chargers social media post? Fantastic. So it's the video where you have what's the show called?
I think you should leave with Tim Robinson.
I think you should leave with Tim Robinson. Where you have the Army people. I did my part. I did my part. I did my part. Then Tim Robinson comes. I didn't do jack shit. And so you have offense, defense, special teams for Chargers, and then it shows the Bears logo for the last part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Golden.
shout out to the Los Angeles Chargers social media team, because I
They're the
think
best.
2 years in a row they have absolutely killed the schedule reveals, and
They're the best
they
social
just
media team
consistently
for
have
any sports team out there. They're the
yeah,
best. Like there's
they're
not a
very
lot
good.
going right for the Chargers as a team right now, but at least they have the best social media team,
Absolutely.
bar none, not even close.
All right. Well, I think we actually got 20 minutes out of that. That was pretty impressive. So I think we can move on from the Bears. They will be playing the Saints this weekend.
Tyson Bajan's going to be starting again. Feels already declared out.
Field's already been ruled out. So
Yeah.
oh god, I'm going to make a reference, but I can't remember what it's from. But so what? Who cares? We'll just be complaining about it again next week. Do we want to transition to the Hawks, or do we want to knock out the Bulls?
Do we want to be happy or sad? Let's
keep the sad train rolling
sad.
here.
All right, Andrew.
Andrew will let you take over with the Bulls, who have opened the season to a 2-2 record. Lost opening night against the Thunder, beat the Raptors in overtime on Friday, lost to the Pistons on Saturday, and beat the Pacers today.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been about what you expect from this Bulls team, right? Like they're just they're the definition of a mediocre team.
I was watching the opening night game. I just want to add, I think the one note I took was like, oh wow, this team cannot shoot for shit from three.
No, they can't. It's the year 2023, and you've constructed a roster that is not
they were
only
trying to
threes,
shoot. They were trying to shoot. They took like 43s.
The
problem is they only hit like 10 of them. But
they don't have any outside of Zach LaVine. They don't have any elite shooters on the team, and they're also like not an athletic team either. So it hurts you in that aspect in terms of transition and a defense and things like that. Yeah, I mean, this team got absolutely pantsed. They've been pantsed twice so far this season against the Pistons and the Thunder. Like the Thunder just outclassed them in every way. The Pistons outclassed them. Even like Zach LaVine went out for 51 points in the Pistons game, and the Bulls still lost by double digits. Like that's just how bad this.
Wow, that is impressively bad.
Right. And look. Here's the thing: like Zach LaVine has not had a strong start to the year. Like he had that one great.
He had a rough game against the Thunder.
Rough game against the Thunder.
He got in foul trouble early
against the Pacers either. And he had a pretty rough game shooting against the Pacers tonight as well. So it's been a slow start to him, and I think he's gonna have to pick it up if they have any chance of making the season any worth anyone's time, which it's probably not going to happen anyway. But like you look at their 2 wins and the Raptors game, like this had nothing to do with the Bulls like being like good or anything. This was just all the Raptors just doing everything they could to lose this game. It was basically like the play-in game last year, except the Raptors found a new, different, unique way to give the game to the Bulls. Like the Raptors had every opportunity to just like win the game in the last minute or so. And they're just like, no, Bulls, you get another chance to win it here. And the Bulls were even like, no, Raptors, you get another chance to win it here. Neither team wanted to win the game, and the Bulls just happened to be the last one standing. So that wasn't really an impressive win, in my opinion, whatsoever. And then you look at the Pacers game, like, yes, they did win by a pretty decent amount. 112 to 105. They pulled away late tonight. But, I mean, the Pacers, they've traditionally been a really good three-point shooting team. They shot 26% from three tonight. So they got lucky.
Woof.
So the Bulls got lucky that the Pacers just had a really rough game shooting the ball from downtown is what it comes down to. And the Pacers were just uncharacteristically turning the ball over a lot. They had 17 turnovers in this game. So it really just comes down to the Bulls have just benefited from the other team just absolutely crapping all over themselves. It hasn't been them actually going out there and being impressive whatsoever. So this is just what the Bulls are. It's what they've been the last few years, just the definition of mediocrity. They're going to win a couple BS games throughout the course of a regular season. That's just what happens over 82 games in an NBA season that's this long. But when they're not winning BS close games, they're getting blown out by teams that actually have legitimate talent. Even the Pistons aren't even good. Like the Pistons aren't a good team either. And they got, they just got their butts kicked against them. So yeah, there's just not a ton of positives from a Bulls perspective here.
What do you make of I've got a game log from a player. I want you to guess who it is. So against OKC, he had 8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. On against Toronto, he had 3 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. And against Detroit, he had 0 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist.
Wait, can I make 2 guesses? Can I make 2 guesses?
Go for
You
it.
got 1 guess.
Patrick Williams.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is Patrick Williams, the man who is seeking a max contract.
Yes. And I don't even watch basketball.
He hasn't watched a second of NBA basketball this year, and he just knew immediately.
I mean, it's what Patrick Williams has been his entire career, right? He's just really passive. He doesn't influence the outcome of games. Like, he's just there. He's basically Tony Snell. And for those who remember, like, Tony Snell has the famous meme where it's like 30 minutes in the game and then like 0 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds, like nothing in the box score sheet. He's just out there doing cardio. That's Patrick Williams basically. And it sucks because they had the opportunity to draft Tyrese Halliburton, who's the star player for the Pacers in that draft, and they passed on him, even though he was clearly the best player still available at that time. I don't know how Halliburton, fell that far in the draft that he did anyway, but the Bulls really should have picked him. They needed a point guard at the time, and Halliburton's one of the best young point guards in the NBA. Instead, they get Patrick Williams, who, I get it, he's got the physical tools, he's big, he's strong, he's an athletic dude, but he's not the defender they thought they were getting out of him. He's a good shooter when he decides to shoot, but he's just too passive. And in an offense where you're kind of putting your entire offense around DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic anyway, he's not going to get a ton of opportunities there to really get any shots up. So, I mean, yeah, he's going to have to do all the little things, and that's just not what he does. And it's really discouraging to the Bulls since AK has been here. Their draft picks have looked really bad. Because outside of AO, who's kind of been all right as like a second round pick, like Patrick Williams has been a disappointment. Dalen Terry has been just straight up bad. I don't even think I think he got sent to the G League. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, they just, for whatever reason, they keep on going for these long athletic wings who can't shoot and don't have any offensive skill. And it's not working out for them in an NBA where it's all about skill and shooting and, offensive, skill basically. And they just don't value that in their draft picks. It's really, really puzzling to say the least.
Well, it's hard to value things in draft picks when you don't have any.
Yeah.
That was also awesome.
Was great.
Yeah.
Andrew, can you give us one positive from the start? They won two games. They are a 500 team. There has to be something positive that you can look towards that we can go off of. I mean, I know you're Mr. Negative Nancy here, but one thing.
Okay, all right. Hold on. Before you say anything, this is going to be the new ending of our Bulls coverage every week. Is just Andrew. You need to say one
good thing,
positive thing.
One good thing.
One positive thing.
I mean, Javon Carter's kind of fun, I guess.
There we go. Positive.
I mean, look, he was the guy. He's the point guard they signed in the offseason. He's their, I guess, Lonzo replacement. I guess, like, he picks up guys full court. He's a good defensive player and he hits threes, which is the only guy who can really do that on the team, because Caruso can defend, but he can't really shoot.
So respect on the Italian stallion.
I know. I shouldn't mention that. Like, Caruso, we love you on this podcast, but
we do.
Yeah, Carter's been pretty solid addition. I'll say that.
I can't wait for a week when the Bulls win like 3 games, and you're still going to come on and like, yeah, it doesn't matter, whatever. This team's still going to lose with the player game.
I got all the excuses. I got all the excuses for it.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Man, this is just the reference episode, apparently. All right. So, with all that being said, let's see. What do we got coming up here? We have Bulls at Mavericks on Wednesday. Nets at Bulls on Friday. Bulls at Nuggets on Saturday. That sounds like 2 losses to me. And again, I don't pay super close attention to basketball just because the Bulls have been so terrible for so long and nobody plays defense anymore. I miss guys getting elbowed in the face when they go up for layups and stuff.
No
I'm
blood,
one of
no
those.
foul.
But yeah, I know the Mavs are not a. Oh wait, no, the Mavs are a really good team. Hold on, that's 3 losses. My bad. I'm behind.
Yeah, I would say Mavs. You're probably looking at a loss. Luka is, Luka's Luka. Luka had like one of the most ridiculous shots I've ever seen. By the way, in his game the other night, it was like one of those. He just threw up a prayer near the end of the shot clock and he banked it in on like a 35-footer. It looked like he just threw it at the rim and went in. Like he's ridiculous still. Probably gonna lose that one. Brooklyn could be, maybe they can squeak out a win against Brooklyn because they're at home and Brooklyn is another mid team that doesn't have anything going for them. They're going to lose to Denver. Let's just get out of the way right now. They're going to lose to Denver. Jokic is going to put up like a 40-piece triple-double on them because he's the GOAT in the current NBA. But yeah, probably looking at 1-2 or 0-3. But we'll see. That's why they play the games.
All right. Well, now we will move on to the Blackhawks, who, let's see, the score was 1-1 the last time I checked.
It is still 1-1.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's 2-1. We're losing now. They're in the middle of a game against the Coyotes in Arizona that I am not at because tickets are $150 for standing room only because the Coyotes can't reach a stadium agreement and play at the Arizona State University, which is a 5,000 seat arena. Anyway, I'm not bitter about it. Earlier in the week, they lost at home against Boston, which I did watch the first 2 periods of that game. And then we actually beat the defending champion Vegas Golden Knights in Las Vegas. So
not only that, the Blackhawks are the first team to beat Vegas this year. Yeah.
The Blackhawks.
The Blackhawks, our Chicago Blackhawks. Everyone thinks it's gonna. So, the Hawks had a very interesting week. Start of the week, before the Boston game, I believe it was. Taylor Hall was put on IR. If you remember the second game of the season, he took a hit in the first game they played against Boston. Missed a couple games, came back. Not this past game against Vegas, but the one before it. He played in that, but then they put him on IR just to heal it up, which is not great. However, they did get Philip Kurashev back in the lineup. He came off IR. He's played in the 2 games this week. We'll get into him a little bit, but he's looked really good. Jordan, like you said, that game against Boston, not great. They were outshot. Let me see. I had it here. It was like 43-23. So a lot to a little. That game was just all Boston. After the game, Luke Richardson, not a very happy coach. He had this quote at the end of the game. He said, they're a hard team, but I'm kind of at the point tired. 1 year's enough of we're a hardworking team. We want to push for more this year. He was really not happy with the effort. Go ahead.
It kind of, I forget which game you were talking about last week, but you had said it was a game for 10 minutes and then the next 2.5 periods.
It was the Colorado game.
It was a Colorado.
Yeah.
That is exactly the vibe I was getting during this game. It opened and they looked okay. They looked like they were holding pace with Boston for a little bit. And then as the game went on, Boston just hit another gear and blew us out of the water.
Which is not unexpected, right? Boston went into that game also undefeated. The Hawks played like 4 straight games against teams that going into the game had not lost a game. We've talked to death about how tough the start to the season has been. The schedule makers have done them no favors. But even still, Luke Richardson was not happy with the result, put them through a pretty tough practice right before the Vegas game. And right when the Vegas game started, the Hawks gave up 2 goals in the first 2 shots. So it was 2-0 Vegas early. It's like, okay, you go on the road into Vegas, the defending champs, they're undefeated. Just going to be more of the same is kind of what I was expecting. But then they got one back, and then they got another back. They ended up taking the lead. It was 3-2. Shea Theodore tied it in the 3rd period, and the Blackhawks ended up winning the game in overtime. Goals were from Taylor Radish, Connor Bedard, Ryan Donato, not in that order, and Philip Kurashev coming off of IR with the overtime winner. Kurashev has looked really great coming back. He played on that last game on that top line. That top line was Bedard, Kurashev, and Nick Foligno, who I was not expecting to be that great on the top line, but I really liked what I saw from him. He's been playing. I've been really happy with what I've seen from Foligno. I really want to see Taylor Hall back so we can knock Khrushchev down to the second line. Because if you remember in the preseason, they made a big deal about Lucas Reichel. He hasn't really made an impact at center this season. They moved him to center. They want to see what he can do. He has not scored a goal yet. He hasn't. I don't know if he even has an assist yet at this point. But he's really struggling. And I think a lot of that is the line where he seemed to be having a lot of success in camp was with Athanasiou at center and Khrushchev on the not Athanasiou on the wing. Reichel's the center, obviously, and Khrushchev on the wing. And that line was having a lot of success, but then Khrushchev went down. Athanasiou has been bounced around a little bit, so he's kind of had like a revolving door of line mates. I'd be interested to see him play with Bedard, but I really want to see what that line would be. Why, Jordan, you oofed. Why did you oof?
Yeah, because I just looked up Lucas Reichel's season stats.
Goose egg.
8 games played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points, -8 on the year.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's
Tony Snell.
Yeah,
he's a Tony Snell of the Blackhawks.
I mean, look, if you're going to struggle and find out if you can play center or not at the NHL level, this is the year to do it, right? I'm not super concerned about it. I don't think they should pull the plug.
No, he's a talented. He's a very talented player. It will turn around. I have no doubt whether it's he finally gets his wheels under him at center or if they move him back to the wing, he's going to figure something out. He's too talented. But
exactly.
For now it's growing pains. Kind of funny that it's coming from Lucas Reichel when we thought it was going to be the defense, and the defense has actually looked, for the most part, pretty good so far this year, I would think. But
yeah. But going back to the game against Vegas, I think this win against Vegas, going into Vegas, going down 2-0 super early, and then fighting back to win in overtime against a team that hadn't lost yet, the defending champs that hadn't lost yet, I think it's the best win of the season. And it isn't just like, they fluked into it. Like the Hawks were the better team for other than the first 10 minutes or so. They were the better team. They outshot Vegas 24-21, which is very nice. You like to see it. A bit of bad news coming out of that game. We're going to shift into our young rookie watch for a second here. Unfortunately, during the Vegas game, Alex Vlasic took a cheap, dirty blindside hit. I don't know what Vegas player put the hit on him, but I think he needs to. I think he needs to be served an order of knuckle sandwiches the next time the Hawks play Vegas. He is in concussion protocol, so it's really unfortunate. I think of the 3 rookies, Alex Vlasic has looked the best. But he's in concussion protocol. They recalled Isaac Phillips from Rockford to replace him. And I hope he can make a quick recovery because I really liked what I saw from him early on. Another rookie that I really like what I've seen from him is Kevin Korchinski. Kevin Korchinski has an assist on the Connor Bedard goal tonight. I saw that when I was browsing the score sheet. But anyway, Luke Richardson was asked about whether or not they were going to send him back to juniors after his 10 games are up. And what did they get?
It's 3-1.
That's great. All right. Well, the positivity in this segment is degrading rapidly as Jordan. Anyway, Luke Richardson basically said that Kevin Korchinski's staying with the team. So he's here for the long term, and I think it's well deserved. I don't think it would do him any good to go back and just tear up the juniors. Kind of like he could, but I think he needs to be up against NHL talent. I think he's got to make his mistakes here. And again, sort of like with Lucas Reichel at center, this is the year to do it. Have him fight, have him struggle, have him, go through his growing pains. And at the end of it, it's going to be better for his development down the road as long as he can sort of swim. So, overall, I think it started off pretty rough for the Blackhawks, but I think as the week they got a nice win and I got something to hang their hat on and build momentum on, hopefully.
Well, we'll see if they can do anything because the Coyotes should not be beating us this badly.
No,
they're also a young rebuilding team.
This is supposed to be not that they're a bad team. I think they still probably have a talent edge on the Blackhawks, but this is supposed to be the quote unquote break in their schedule, which just goes we've talked about the gauntlet that they've just had to go through. I was doing the math earlier today and I did it. I did it at work on a notebook. So I don't have it with me, but I added up the record of every team the Blackhawks have played so far. And they're 31-6-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's something ridiculous. And that's what happens when, 3 teams go undefeated like 6 or 7 games into the season and you play 2 of them multiple times and the other one once.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, as we said, the Blackhawks are currently in Tempe, Arizona, at the Arizona State rink, whatever they call it.
Mullet.
It is Mullet. Yeah, it's Mullet Arena. They're down 3-1 with about 3 minutes left in the first. Have a huge break in the schedule because it is only Monday. Our next game is we got 2 games at the United Center, Saturday and Sunday. First one against the Panthers, second one against the New Jersey Devils. So, and again, that's not going to be easy. Those are two teams that tend to contend for playoff spots. So
can we please just get some easy teams on the schedule? My God.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Get it out of the way early and get the young guys to learn against the best early. And
it's trial by fire.
Trial by fire. And again, you take a win like you had against Vegas, and that's something you can really hang your hat on and build on. So with that being said, time to move on to the fan favorite segment, or it's probably more just our favorite segment, but the complete 180, where we each get to talk about anything we want for 3 minutes. You both have stuff, right?
I got something.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Andrew, the floor is yours for the next 3 minutes.
All right. So with the NFL season, we're about halfway through the year. I thought it would be a good time to rank the NFL broadcast theme songs for the different networks across the NFL. Because just because I'm in the mood to talk about them. It's kind of been a subject that's kind of come up on my feed a little bit, as Nick has just exited the building for some reason.
I didn't even talk about Wisconsin and Illinois this time.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh boy, what's he getting? I'm kind of scared now. Anyway, so number 6, there are 6 that I'm going with here. Number 6 is the NFL Network theme. I just think this is very bland. And technically, they do this for the international games. I'm just not a fan of the NFL Network thing. I think it is just very boring, very just forgettable. And that leads me to number 5, which is the Amazon theme.
Andrew, hold on. Andrew, I'm sorry, I had to go run and get my charger. But are you going to sing all of these? You have to sing all of these so the audience knows what you're talking about.
Oh, come on, man!
Come on, man!
Go on YouTube after the show.
Yeah, I don't feel like it.
No, I meant the audience. I meant the audience.
They can go look it up. YouTube. Number 5 is the Amazon theme for me. Amazon Prime. Just very generic. I wouldn't say it's forgettable, but it's just like, I don't know. It felt like Jeff Bezos was like, what's the most basic NFL theme that we can use for our broadcast? And that's the one they got. Pretty boring overall. Number 4, CBS. This is very forgettable. I'm not a big fan of CBS, or their broadcast in general is just not great for NFL games I've found in the past. As we see Misty here is on the screen. Hi, Misty.
Attack the microphone. Just yanked your headphones out completely.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. CBS. Yeah. CBS. Very boring broadcast. Very forgettable. Let's get to the good stuff now. Number 3, the NBC theme. Fun fact, this theme was actually written and composed by John Williams. So it's going to be good because John Williams composed the score for it, and it is good. It's very solid. Whenever I hear this theme, I always think of back in the day, the old Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning matchups that we would always get on Sunday night growing up every single year with the Patriots and Colts. Very classic theme. Big fan of it. Even though Chris Collinsworth seems to ruin it on the broadcast with his commentating. But number 2 is ESPN's Monday Night Football theme. Just complete classic. Everyone knows it. It's iconic. You can do a bunch of different versions of it. It's great. It's a great theme. It's really classic. Gets you in the mood for these primetime matchups. Even though ESPN's broadcast has not been great over the past few years, in my opinion, the theme is always solid and gets you in the mood to watch football. But number 1, it has to be the Fox NFL theme. I mean, come on. It's the best sports theme out there, in my opinion. I used to always associate it with the Bears. When I was a kid, I thought it was the Bears football theme as a growing up. And then I found out that, oh no, that's just Fox's regular, theme for all the NFL teams that go on Fox Network. But yeah, it's great, man. You play it, it pumps you up, it gets you ready for a football Sunday, and there's just nothing better than around, noon, 11:55, where the pregame show switches over to the NFL broadcast. You get the robot man that goes on the screen with the Fox theme going on.
Cletus. It's Cletus.
Cletus. Yeah, I always forget his name. You get Cletus on the screen. You get the Fox NFL theme on the screen. You get the shots of the teams running out of the tunnel onto the field, and it just pumps you up for what's going to be a long, fun day of just watching football, drinking beer, and eating food all day. And that's what it's all about. So Fox theme takes the cake. That's number one for me.
Honestly, there's only one change I would make personally. I think the Sunday night football is slightly better than Monday night football, but it's very close. It's very close. Otherwise, completely agree with your list.
The one change I would make is Carrie Underwood's Sunday night anthem is number one.
Well, they changed it up this year. I don't know. It's not as good this year.
Yeah, no, I like last year's better.
Yeah. I don't know why they changed it up as much. It was perfect the way it was.
Straight up. Let Carrie cook.
It was. I agree. But it's still, you know what, Nick? We might have to amend this list now. I think I might have to put Carrie Underwood's theme up there now.
You should. At number one.
It's definitely up there.
All right,
Side note, this is totally random, but I was just scrolling Twitter and I saw Bedard's goal. Kevin Korchinski made a beautiful pass. Yeah, he's staying with the team. If he wasn't before, that pass just sealed it. Beautiful.
all right. Well, I'm going to take over the floor here for my 180, and I'm going to also follow in a football vein. So, being in Arizona, working in a restaurant, I get a lot of people from the Midwest. Tons. I have 4 people. Wait. 5. I have 5 people in my restaurant with, I don't know, oh no, I guess we're up to 15 now. But anyway, 25% of our front of house staff is from the Midwest originally. Okay. Tons of guests. And I saw the other day somebody had a Detroit Lions koozie that they brought in to keep their beer cold while they were hanging out, which was kind of cool. Never would have thought to bring a koozie to a restaurant, but good on you. Sparked a conversation with him. And, I was like, oh yeah, I'm a Bears fan. He's like, oh, are we going to have a problem here? And I'm like, no, I love the Lions. The Bears are terrible right now. So my 180 today is going to be that for this year, and potentially the next few years, depending on how the Bears go, I'm going to be a Lions fan because you know what? They deserve it. I'm not saying I'm abandoning the Bears. I will never abandon the Bears, but I am going to root for the Lions this year because they have not won a playoff game in almost 30 years. They haven't won the NFC North in 30 years. And actually that was when it was the NFC Central. So they've never technically won the NFC North. And they're a fun team to watch. Dan Campbell, great guy. You can tell that team wants to play for Dan Campbell, and they will go out there and throw back to his original opening head coach press conference. They will bite kneecaps off for Dan Campbell, and it's fun to watch. They're a good team. It's nice to see Jared Goff getting a second chance. They got David Montgomery, so it's fun to see him getting used properly and actually scoring some touchdowns. Aiden Hutchinson's a lot of fun to watch. And on the flip side of that, it's fun to see somebody other than the Packers leading the division because in the reverse of Charlie Barron's, who you need to check him out. He's a good comedian, but he's from Wisconsin. Go Bears, fuck the Packers. And it's also just funny to troll the Vikings. I would much rather root for the little brother that's kind of always been like, nice try. It's like, no, you know what? They're finally seeing some success. Let's support our little brother and have fun doing it. So go Lions. I hope they're still beating I can't remember who they're playing right now, but they were winning at halftime playing Monday Night Football. So go Lions.
The one First of all, Jordan, Chicago sports podcast, and you lead with "I'm a Lions fan now." That's going to be a great clip to live on the internet forever. But no,
Temporarily.
the last Bears game I went to, it was with the three of us actually. It was against the
Yeah.
Lions, and I remember the Bears won. It was actually Justin Fields' first start at Soldier Field.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out and like talking to some Lions fans, and every Lions fan I saw, it wasn't like haha, we beat you, haha. It was every time I saw a Lions fan, I was like, hey, fuck the Packers, and they're like, fuck the Packers, let's go.
Exactly.
Everybody
hates the Packers.
You get it. It's just like I've never hated the Lions in my life. Granted, the Bears and Lions have never been good at the same time because neither team has been good that often, which hurts me. But yeah, no, let them have their moment. I think it's fun.
The fuck the Packers chants after the game, walking through
I remember that.
were incredibly loud, and it was great.
It was a fun
experience.
It was a fun time. All right, Nick, your turn.
All right,
Send us home.
Andrew talked football. Jordan talked football. I'm going to talk board games. So, this past weekend, I went over by my buddy Rich's place. Hi, Rich. Rich sometimes listens to this show. Maybe you'll listen to this. He hosted a board game night with a few friends, and one of the board games we played is called Secret Hitler. Now, if you've never played
Secret Hitler, it's so fun.
If you've never played Secret Hitler, it's sort of like those hidden role games like Mafia or The Resistance, where basically you have two teams. So you have the liberals and the fascists, and the fascists have somebody that's assigned to be Hitler. So basically the liberals win by enacting liberal policies, advancing liberalism or whatever. The fascists win by enacting a bunch of fascist policies and then electing Hitler chancellor. There's other win conditions, but that's what's important for what I'm about to talk about. So Rich puts the game together. He starts handing out the roll cards, and he gets to me. I'm like, which one's Hitler? He's like, I don't know. And I pull it, and I open it, and guess what? I'm Hitler. It's like, okay, great. So I get to be Hitler. I get to pull the strings behind the scene to try to get elected chancellor and enact fascist policies and all that. And first round, my team won by electing me, who was playing the role of Hitler, chancellor. So I was like, okay, awesome. That was a fun round. We play another round. Deal out the envelopes again. I look at my hidden roll. And keep in mind, we're playing with 8 people, and there's only one Hitler in the deck. We pull it out. I'm Hitler again. The odds of that happening are so low. And it's great because if you're Hitler once, it's like, okay. But if you're Hitler right after that, nobody expects you. I had zero suspicion on me all game. And then I got elected chancellor at the same point. And then I just turned it over. It was great. I've never had a run that great in any board game or anything ever. It was just perfect. So yeah, I'm a good fake secret Hitler.
So I just did the math. There was a 1.5% chance that you would have been the secret Hitler twice in a row.
That's great.
Go math.
And we played another game after that, and I wasn't Hitler, but I confused so many people.
Oh man, I do miss. I forgot about all those board game nights we used to do.
It's a fun game. The Risk.
Oh my god, the Risk.
That's another. You got to save that for another time. We'll
yeah. Okay. Remind me to do it next week because that is a fantastic story. Oh boy. All right. Well, we'll send it home here. Hopefully we'll be able to have Ty next week. I don't know what his training schedule is going to be like, so he may be gone for a little while. But thank you so much again for watching. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. Help us grow the channel and the just podcast in general a little bit. Once again, I'm Jordan DuPont, joined by Nick DeCola and Andrew Freeman. You can check out the podcast on Twitter at 4starpodchi. Check out our website, 4starpodchi.com. You can follow Nick on Twitter at Endicola21 and Andrew at AJFreeman25. You can also check out his other work for the Bear Report on 247sports.com, where he does his tracking the trenches, right? Yes.
There you go.
My God, I blanked. Tracking the trenches, keeps track of all the line play from the Bears. and the Picks for Polls podcast. You can also check Tyg out on Twitter at TM Mullen. TM Mullen 007. Man, my brain is just not working today. Thank you all so much again for watching. We'll be back ranting and raving next week. Have a good one.